message. Hello, everybody. We want to welcome you to Lebanon Church for Kick and Bob Study. This is Pastor Benjamin here at the helm. We're in the book of Leviticus. Now, this is a series when we're talking straight Bible. We're not adding anything, any facts. We took you to the book of Genesis so you can understand it. We rolled through the book of Exodus, and now we are creeping through Leviticus to try to give you an understanding on how this thing got started, who God was, and all the different things that God did for us to win our soul. Now, going through the book of Leviticus and stuff like that, you see that now Moses, after God got all these orders for Moses, you see God began to deal with the Israelites now to set up everything that he had spoken on the mountain. He built a church, showed them how to decorate the church, showed them the function of the church, dressed the priests, showed them their job so that everybody can be on board. After he got done with that, he began to talk about food, things that they can eat, what they shouldn't eat, what they should eat, and how to take care of themselves when sickness comes, and how to separate themselves. You're going to see God do all these wonderful things. You're going to see what God is doing, so that when you see, you always would see some of these trace things in the world as God was doing it. There was outbreaks back then. Primarily what the Israelites was worried about with this disease called leprosy. And what he would do is he would, once they would have a disease like that, instead of getting everybody else infected and losing a whole bunch of people, he would have them separate themselves so their bodies heal, and then go from there. You would see the priest come in to make sure that that healing had come. That was God's way of trying to keep everyone safe uh, while he was doing his thing here. So, without any further, let's listen to the word of God. See, can we get a little bit more out of God? And these are lengthy, 2 chapters here. 59, I believe, for 13, and 57 for 14 here. So we're going to go through it. Again, I recommend that you go back to the book of Genesis. Listen. Go back to the book of Exodus. Listen, so you can gain the understanding necessary that you need. Okay. I also recommend that I'm going to plug up before I lose my battery here. Go back to the book of Leviticus and listen. Now, while we're going through all these different uh, scenarios, while we're going through all these different uh, teaching, you want to gain understanding to a point that you can recite it like Pastor do. All right, 13, verse 1. And the Lord spoke unto Moses and Aaron, saying, now who is Lord? Okay, who is Lord? Jesus is Lord. So whenever you hear the Bible talk about Lord God, he's talking about the Son. Now the Son have a Father whom we call God. But Lord God was the Son whom the Father sent. The whole Bible is written about Lord God. See, in the beginning, God created. He established that even though he's doing the speaking in the book of Genesis, he's established that he have a higher power or authority. And so forth, Jesus spoke unto what Moses and Aaron saying, when the sun shall have in his skin or in his flesh a rising or a scab or a bright what spot, it be in the what skin of his flesh, like the of leprosy, then he shall be brought unto what Aaron the what priest, and unto one of his sons the what priest. Now why? Because now God usually back then he uses his people to do his work. And so in other words, he have to speak and give them instructions on how to do this here. And the priest shall look at the plague, in the skin of the what flesh, and that should have been plague, what I said earlier. If I pronounced it wrong, forgive me. And when the hair and the plague turn what white, and the plague is what sight, plague in sight be what deeper than the skin of it what flesh, it is a plague of what leprosy. Now you understand, even back then, there was plagues that's going on. See? Now Jesus is getting ready to deal with the plague. We just had a plague in our time called the coronavirus and many other things that have happened, but that's the common one, the most recent one. And the priest shall look upon him and pronounce him unclean. See, now he's trying to teach us when it is unclean and when it is what clean. When a sickness happen like that, that means something is wrong with the body. So you then pronounce unclean. So they used to bring you to the priest here. And if the bright sore be what white in the skin of his what flush, and in the sight be not deeper than his skin. In other words, that it's just right there on the skin. There's no sore or no hole in the skin. And the hair therefore be not turned what white. The priest shall shut up him uh that have the what plague for 7 days. Now, what Jesus doing? He don't want this plague to be outbroken. See, when we went through this thing with the coronavirus, one of the smartest things that they did was had us to wear masks. Why? Because it stopped the plague from spreading. Okay. Eventually, it came up something with the vaccine. Now, a lot of people, I myself knew that the vaccine was not going to cure the plague, but what they was trying to do is stop the spread of the plague. To me, I thought that was an honorable thing. That's why I always say that's got to be your choice whether you want to take it or not. The vaccine was not going to be the mark of the beast. The mark of the beast, I keep telling you, is Sunday law. And hopefully we can get to the end of this and you can see it. Okay, but so in other words, he's going to lock them up for 7 days. Why? He's trying to prevent the spread throughout the what people, because it was a transmittable a disease or sickness that could happen back then. The priest shall look upon him the 7th day, and behold, if the plague in his sight be at a what state, meaning that it don't spread, everything seems to be fine. The plague spread, see, not in his what skin, then the priest shall shut him up for 7 more days. So he looking at the plague, it ain't moved, it didn't happen. Oh, well, let's look at it for 7 other days. Why? He's trying to stop the spread or the infection from hurting more people than it could. Okay? And the priest shall look upon him again 7 days after the 7 days, and behold, if the plague be somewhat dark, and the plague spread not in his skin, the priest shall pronounce him what clean. Now you are clean. In other words, they're not worried about whatever's wrong with him, okay, affecting the people, right? Because he's never produced the white hair, turn the hair white in the skin. It never really spread it. So whatever, the body fought it off, and now he's what clean. It is but a what scab, see? And he shall wash his what clothes and be what clean. Okay. But now, if the scab spread more abroad into what skin after he has been seen of the what priest for his what cleansiness, he shall be seen of the priest what again. Now, if another outbreak come back up now, the priest need to take another look at it, right? It's very important because Jesus is trying to stop the infection or the spread of things. So we have to know that everything that some of these people did during the virus wasn't a bad thing. We religious why I thought it was. So that's why I say it's no sin whether you take this or not. God is not going to judge, because I knew in the book of Leviticus he separated peoples. He did things to protect people. Well, why come Jesus just didn't heal them? Well, because sometimes healing people, it requires to have faith. And to be honest with you, we don't have that type of belief that God can do it. We say it, but when that cancer comes, we'll run to that doctor so fast and we'll let them kill us. Okay? And if the priest see that, behold, the scab spread is in the what skin, then the priest shall pronounce him what unclean. Now, so if it break back up, then why? Because now he have a possibility of infecting a lot of people. It is a what? Leprosy. Okay. And when the plague of the leprosy is in a man, then shall be brought unto the what priest. The priest shall see him, and behold, if the rising be white in the what skin, that means the pus rise up. That's what that is. And it shall turn the hair what white. Okay. So those are two characteristics. And there be a what quick raw flush in the what rising. It is a old leprosy in the skin of his what flush. And the priest shall pronounce him what unclean, and shall not shut him up, for he is what unclean. Okay. For if the what leprosy break out abroad in the what in the what skin, and the leprosy cover all the skins of him that have the what plague from his what head even unto his foot, whatsoever the priest wheresoever the priest looketh, then the priest shall consider, and behold, if the leprosy have covered all of his flesh, he shall be pronounced, he shall pronounce him clean that have the what plague. It shall be turned, it is all turned what white. He is what clean. But when the raw flush appear in him, he shall be what unclean. Okay. Now, during leprosy, when the skin turn white, it don't necessarily mean that uh, the, the leprosy have discolored him. That's one of the characteristics of leprosy. Your skin will become white after the disease. Even once you're cured of the disease, you would have skin discoloration. So that's why he said, well, if it's all over the body and the skin is white, then he's clean. Why? It's just something old, and they weren't worried about the infection. And when the raw flush appear on him, he shall be what unclean. So if that white skin turn raw again, then okay, this leprosy have started back up, and we need to look at it. The priest shall see the raw flush and pronounce him what unclean, to be unclean. If the raw flush is unclean, it is a what leprosy. So the rawness of the flush tell you what the disease is and how it turned. Or if the raw flush turn again and be changed unto what white, okay, he shall come unto the what priest again. Okay, so now he had the raw flush, okay, but now it dies now, and his skin turned back white. And the priest shall see him, and behold, if the plague be turned unto white, then the priest shall pronounce him what clean that have the plague. He is what clean. Why? Because that raw skin, the boils, the white hair is a sign that the leprosy is currently, and it's more. It can be easily spread. But now, once the skin turned totally white, the leprosy is done. It's over. Then they was allowed to come back into uh, the fold. The flush also, in which even the skin therefore was a what boil and is what healed. Okay, in the place of the what boil, where the white skin rising, uh, a bright or a what bright spot, white or somewhat reddish, and it be what showed to the what priest. In other words, everything something happened, they had to come to the man of God. I want you to notice something. God is doing his work through the priest, not the king, not the government. He's using the what priest because they are the minister. They are to minister unto him. You see? All right, so they have to come back to the what, showed it to the what priest. And if when the priest see it, behold, it be in the sight lower, it be in sight lower than the what skin, then the hair thereof be turned what white. The priest shall pronounce him what unclean. Now you understand what that disease is. It is the what players are left and broken out of the what boil. So the biggest disease they was worried back then was leprosy. And even with the coronavirus, it was right for us to wear masks. I don't know why the church got so upset about it. Where um, sickness was hurting. Well, we shouldn't have shut the house of God. Well, God didn't allow people in the church like that. You had to go to the priest. We just don't have an understanding of who God is and how God operates sometimes. And it's so unfortunate. Okay, let me go and I'm trying to finish this up because I'm already being late. But if the priest look upon it, and behold, there be no white hair therein, and if it be not lower than the skin, but be somewhat dark, then the priest shall shut him up for 7 days. Cause we got to make sure that this thing don't kill folk and spread people. So let me ask you a question: do the coronavirus, did they have a right to make you quarantine? Cause that 7 days is a quarantine. See, it's very important that we do this to keep other people safe. See. And if the spread much more abroad and if it spread much more abroad in his skin, then the priest shall pronounce him what clean. It is a what plague. See, Jesus did that. He quarantined. He separated. Why? Because he's trying to keep people safe. But if the bright spot stay in his what place and spread not. See, it is a burning boil, and the priest shall pronounce him what clean. So it ain't leprosy. It's not a big disease. Okay, it's just a regular boil. Nobody going to get sick from it. Fine. You don't have to separate yourself. You don't have to quarantine. You okay. Or if there be any what flush, and the skin whereof there is a what heart burning, then a heart burning. I'm sorry, a hot burning, and a quick flush that burn with a white bright spot, somewhat reddish or white. Then the priest shall look upon it, and behold, if the hair in the bright skin be turned white, if it turn white, y'all already know what he's gonna do. And if it be in sight deeper than his skin, y'all already know what it is. It is the leprosy broken out of the burning. Wherefore the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is the plague of leprosy. And if the priest look up on it, and behold, there be no white hair in the bright spot, and it be no lower than the skin, meaning that that's no that little hole, or you know how you get an infection sometimes, it kind of make a sore and it get lower. That's what it means. But somewhat dark, then the priest shall shut him up for 7 days. What he's doing? He quarantines him again so that the spread of that. And the priest shall look upon him 7 days, and if it be spread more abroad in the skin, then the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is the it is the plague of leprosy. And if the bright spot stay in his place, and spread no more, spread not in the skin, but it be somewhat darkened. It is the rising of the burning. It is a rising of the burning, and the priest shall pronounce him clean. So what he's saying is just, he just got a rash or something. It's fine, no problem. For it is a information of the burning. That's all it is. You just got a little information, rash, right, fine. Okay. Now, if a man or a woman have the plague upon their head, now find this in your head or in the beard, because all of them were beard back then the priest shall see the plague, and behold, if it be in it be in deep sight, in the sight deeper than the skin, I mean that's an indentation or sore there, and there be in it a yellow thin hair. Now, then the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is a dry scab, even a leprosy upon the head or in the beard. See, and Jesus is teaching them how to know what's going on based on what's breaking out on the body. That is so amazing. And Jesus is kind of teaching them how to be doctors, how to diagnose themselves. And if the priest look up on the plague of the scab, and behold, it be in the sight deeper, then it was skin. It's and there is no more black hair in it. Then the priest shall shut him up that have the plague in the scab for 7 days. Now, what is he doing? He's quarantining for 7 days because he wants to stop the spread, and he's got to be alone. See, same way we did with the coronavirus. It's just made sense. And in the 7 days, the priest shall look upon the plague, and behold, if the scar, I'm sorry, let's say scab. If I said it in a workplace, I mean scar. Spread not, and there be in it no yellow hair, and the scab, the scar, the scar, whatever, be not in the sight deeper than the skin. He shall be shaven, but the skull shall not be shaven. I mean, why have I saying this all? Whatever shall not be shaven, and the priest shall shut up him that have the scarf 7 days more. Why? Because they want to make sure everything is. So for the first 7 days, we're going to shave your hair, see can we get this healed. If not, then we're going to take you to another 14 days to make sure you are safe, good, so that we can go. Okay? And the 7 days of the priest shall look up on the skull, and behold, if the skull be not spread, in the skin, nor be in the sight deeper than the skin, then the priest shall pronounce him to be clean, and he shall wash his clothes and be clean. Why do he need to wash his clothes? Why do they need to wash the clothes? Why is God? Because if there is a sickness or something in their clothes, you got to clean it. You got to disinfect it because it kills germs. Okay, if the scald spread more in the skin after he is clean, then the priest shall look upon him, and behold, if the I don't scald of I don't even know if I'm saying it right be spread in the skin, then the priest shall not seek the yellow hair. He is unclean. So in other words, if it flare back up again, we got to go through this whole process again. Okay, but it's a scald be in the sight of the as it stay, and there is no black hair growing up therein. And the scald is heal. He is clean, and the priest shall pronounce him clean. If a man also or a woman have in his skin of their flush bright spots, even white bright spots, then the priest shall look upon them, and behold, if the bright spot in their skin or in their flush be darkish white, it is uh, a freckle spot that grows in the skin. He is clean. So in other words, even if you have a freckle, Jesus wants you looked at. Just all it is. You know how sometimes we get sunspots? Okay, that's how they had to know. If something was happening with their health, it was very important because understand back in that time we don't have stuff like Windex, Mr. Cleans, and all this other kind of stuff. We didn't have that. So Jesus was teaching them health, what to look out for, quarantine yourself so your rest of your brothers don't get sick. Okay, and the man whose hair is falling off his head, he is bald, yet he is cleans. And if that hair of his head fallen off from the part of his head toward his face, he is foreheaded bald. He is clean. In other words, if you just start getting bald, see, if you start getting bald headed up here, bald. See, that's what he's saying. You ain't sick, you just lose your hair. Boy, I tell you. And if there be in the bald head a bald forehead, a white yellowish sore, it is a leprosy springing up in the bald head or the bald forehead. So just because your hair falling out don't mean that you got leprosy. So Jesus is saying if it's just a bald spot, it's fine. But if you start seeing these white spots pop up, then we have a problem. We have to take a look at that. Then the priest shall look up on him, and behold, if the rising of a sore, if a sore come up, be white reddish in the bald head or in the bald forehead, as leprosy appeared in the skin of the flesh, he is a leopard man. He is unclean, and the priest shall pronounce him utter unclean. His plague is in his forehead. So they had to find this leprosy everywhere. They had to look for it. They had to know how to do it. They know how to activate it. And the leopard in whom the plague is, his clothes shall be rent. His head shall be and his head shall be uh, bald, I guess, whatever, beard, and he shall put a covering upon his lips, and shall cry, unclean, unclean. Wow. Why? Because to stop the spread of it, they don't need to come around him, because obviously leprosy could be transmitted by touch, or you know it's not, I don't know if it was necessarily a airborne disease, but his head had to be bare, and he had to let people know, okay, I'm unclean, so they didn't come around. I'll put it like that. In all the days wherein the plague shall be in him, he shall be defiled. He is unclean. He shall dwell alone. Without the camp shall his habitation be. Why? Because Jesus didn't want to rest that outbreak throughout the camp. The garment also that the what plague of leprosy is in, where it be a woolen garment or a what linen garment. See, now when they back then when they killed animals, they used the animal skin for to keep warm, uh, for clothing, whatever. Now he's saying now if the garment have that leprosy in it, we got to deal with that too. A lot of people say, well, you can't touch this garment. You can't touch. They got nothing to do with it. If it's leprosy in a man, in a beast, or anybody, you was unclean. You couldn't touch it. So, all right, that's what we're talking about. Now we're talking about clothing. Okay, whether it be the wasp or a wolf or a what linen or a what woven, whether in the what skin or anything made of what skin. See, Jesus saying because of how they did clothes, we have to look out for these plagues here. And if the plague be what greenish or reddish in the what garment or in the what skin, either in the what the warp, the wolf, or anything of what skin, it is the plague of what leprosy. So anything that had leprosy, you couldn't touch. It was not just the garment. It's because if leprosy was on the garment, you'd have to be touched, and it shall be what shown unto the what priest. Why? Because this is who God governed through. And the priest shall look up on the what plague and shed it up, and shall shed it that has the what plague 7 days. So they're going to take that garment and they're going to keep it itself. They're going to lock it up. They're going to quarantine the clothes. Okay. And he shall what look up on the what plague 7 days. And if the plague be what spread in the what garment, either it be the wolf or any of the wolf or the wolf or the what skin or any works that is what made of what skin, the plague is a what a frauding leprosy. It is what unclean. So now the peoples, the clothing, everything had to be looked at here. He should therefore burn the what garment, right? The wasp or the wolf or the woven or the linen or any other what skin wherein the what plague is, for it is a what a fraudulent leprosy, if I'm saying that right. It shall be what burnt with what fire. Why? Ain't no healing that. Let's get rid of it. Why? Can't risk the plague spread of what diseases. That's what he's doing. And if the priest shall look over it, and behold, the plague be not in the what skin of the garment, either in the wolf, in the wolf, or in any of the what skin, then the priest shall come command that they what wash the what thing wherein the plague is. Why? Washing, disinfecting, and cleaning. It shall be shut up for 7 days, what more. Now, even if it passed the first 7 days, we're going to have to be sure. We got to shut it down for 7 more days. And the priest shall look of the plague after it is washed. And behold, if the plague have what not changed, its what color, then the plague be not spreaded. It is what unclean, but shall be what burnt with what fire. It is a what it is front inward, whatever, whether it be bare wherein or without. If the priest look upon it, and behold, the plague is somewhat dark after the washing thereof, then he shall what rend his what clothes uh, off the what garment, and out of the what skin, and out of the what wolf, and out of the what wolf. And if it appear still in the what garment, either in the what wolf or in the what wolf, if I'm saying it right, it's or in anything of the what skin, it is what a what spreading what plague, and shall be burnt in that wherein the plague is with what fire. The garment, either the wolf, the wolf, or whatsoever thing of the what skin be, which thou shalt what wash, if the what plague be what departed from them, then it shall be washed the second time, and shall be unclean. This is the law of the plague of what leprosy in the garment and the wound, either the wolf, or anything of what skin, to pronounce it what clean or to be what unclean. So now Jesus dealt with the spread of diseases, you know, in peoples, even to what clothes. Why? This to stop the spread of infection diseases. And that's what he was doing. And the Lord spoke unto Moses, saying, okay, again, Jesus is speaking to Moses. This shall be called the law of what? leopard in the days of his what cleansing, he shall be brought unto the what priest. And the priest shall go forth out of the what camp, and the priest shall what look, and you can even come into the camp. See, and behold, if the what plague of leprosy be healed in the what leopard, then the priest shall command to take from him that is to be what cleansed 2 birds alive, clean, and cedar wood, and scarlet, and that what hyssop. Now, when they come back, they had to pray to offer the priest something. They weren't allowed to come to them with nothing. And the priest shall command to the 1 bird to be what killed in a what earthly a vessel overrun with what water. As for the what living bird, he shall what take it, and the what cedar wood, and the what scarlet, and the hyssop, and shall dip them in the what living bird, in the what blood of the bird that was what killed, uh, over the what running water, and he shall sprinkle it upon him that is to be what cleansed from the what leprosy 7 times. Ooh, like Jesus used it 7 times. He set them up for 7 days. They sprinkled 7 times all the time. So watch that number 7 as it come up. And shall pronounce him what clean, and shall let the living bird loose unto a what open field. And he that is to be clean shall what wash his what clothes, got clean out it up, and shall shave off all his what hair, and wash himself in what water, that he may be what clean. And after that he shall come unto the what camp, and shall tarry abroad out of his what tent 7 days. But it shall be on the what 7th day that he shall what shave all his what hair off his head, and his beard, and his what eyebrows. There ain't gonna be no hair nowhere. Oh my God, that you have to be horrible looking to do all that. Even all his what hair on his head shaven and what off. He shall be washed his what clothes. Also shall wash his what flesh in what water. He shall be what clean. Why are they doing all that? To make sure that that disease ain't nowhere on them. It's very important. Why we don't want infection diseases to spread if we can stop it. That's what Jesus is doing. And on the what 8th day he shall be take two. He should take two. I'm sorry. He shall take 2 lambs without what blemish. Now, after the man has suffered all this here, see, he gonna have to take 2 lambs without blemish. What is he getting ready to do? He's getting ready to make a sacrifice, and lamb of the first year without what blemish, and 3/10 deal of what fine flour for a what meat offering, mingled with what oil, and 1 leg of what oil. And the priest shall make him clean, shall present the man that is to be what made clean, and these things before the what Lord, at the door of the tabernacle of congregation. And the priest shall take the one of the what lamb, and offer him for a what trespass offering, and the what leg of oil, and wave them as a what wave offering before the what Lord. What's that wave? Why is they waving? Because that's their what payment. So they had the man, after to get pronounced clean, they had to make a sacrifice. It's a trespass offering, a wave offering. The priest was going to get paid for doing his work. Okay. He shall what slay the what lamb in the what place where he shall what kill the what sin offering and the burnt offering in the what holy place. For as a sin offering is the what priest, so is the what trespass offering. It is what most holy here. And so you remember when we was talking about how they sacrificed, so they had to go through that. They had to do it in the tabernacle congregation, put the blood around the base, they burn the thing up on the altar. That's what they're doing. And the priest shall take some of the what blood of the trespass offering, and the priest shall what put it upon the tip of the right ear of him that is to be what cleansed, and upon the thumb, and upon his what hand, and upon his great toe. You remember how he did Aaron and stuff like that in to purify him of his what right foot. And the priest shall take some of the what the leg of what or log of oil, I'm sorry, and pour it up on the what palms of his the hand, pour it on the palm of his what left hand. And the priest shall dip his finger in the what oil that is on his what left hand, and shall sprinkle of the what oil with his what finger 7 times again before the what Lord. 7 times before the Lord. The 7 times the Sabbath. He did it the Sabbath for the Lord. Okay, because on the 7th time everything rests. And the rest of the oil that is in his what hand shall the priest put upon the what tip of his finger, right ear of him that is to be what cleansed, and upon the thumb of his right hand, and upon the great toe of his right foot, and upon the what blood of the what trespass was offered. And the remnant of the what oil that is in the what priest's hand he shall what pour upon the what head of him that is to be what cleaned or cleansed, and the priest shall make a atonement for him before the what Lord. Okay, and the priest shall offer what the sin offering and make a atonement for him that is to be what cleansed from his what uncleanness, and after that shall be what kill the what burnt offering. And the priest shall offer the what burnt offering and the what meat offering upon the what altar, and the priest shall make an atonement for him, and he shall be what clean. And if he be poor, even the poor can get away, and cannot get so much, then he shall take one lamb for a what trespass offering to be what waived. Good God Almighty, look how good God is. Everybody had to give, and to make an atonement for him, and 1/10 deal of fine flour mingled with what oil for a what meat offering, and a log of what of oil, 2 turtle doves, 2 young what pigeons, such as he was able to what get, and the what one shall be a what sin offering, and the other shall be a what burnt offering. Okay, even getting sick was a sin. They had to sacrifice for it. Good God Almighty, and he shall burn them up on the what 8th day, for he is what for his what cleansing unto the what priest, unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. That's the church that God made for him back then. Behold, before the what Lord, and the priest shall take the what lamb of the trespass offering and the log of what oil, and the priest shall wave them for a what wave offering before the Lord. Why? Because that's going to be their payment. Their family can eat that wave offering or that heave offering. And if he shall kill the lamb of the trespass offering, and the priest shall take some of the what blood of the trespass offering, and shall put it upon the tip of his right ear of him that is to be what cleansed, and upon the thumb of his right hand, and upon the great toe of his what right foot. And the priest shall pour of the what oil up unto the palm of his what left hand, and the priest shall sprinkle uh, with his what right hand some of the what oil that is in his what left hand 7 times before the what Lord. Always 7 times. Look at God do it. And the priest shall put the oil that is in his what hand upon the tip of the what right ear, upon him that is to be what clean, and upon the thumb of his right hand, and upon the great toe of his what uh, right foot, and on the place upon the place of the what blood of the what trespass offering, and the rest of the what oil that is in the priest's hand shall put he shall what put upon the head of him that is to be what clean, to make an atonement for him before the what Lord. Okay, and he shall offer the one of the what turtle dove and of the what young pigeon, such as he can what get. He got to offer something. He just gonna come there empty handed. Boy, God required it to be church. Boy, we be some miserable folk because they really won't come to church. Then they found they had to really supposed to be giving instead of coming here getting everything. They really have a problem with that, boy. I tell you, even such as he was able to what get. Now Jesus was saying you got to get something, but I can understand it, but something got to be offered. Just. And the one of the what sin offering, and the other one for a what burnt offering. So you had to get the turtle dove or whatever Why? Because you got to make these two offerings, the sin offering and the burnt offering. You got to make them, because that was the arrangement that God had. With a meat offering, and the priest shall make an atonement for him that he that is to be cleansed before the Lord. This is the law of him in whom is the plague of leprosy, whose hand is not able to get that which pertaineth unto his cleansing. And the Lord spoke unto Moses and Aaron, saying, when ye are come unto the land of Canaan. Because understand, throughout all this here, even in the book of Leviticus, they're not in the land of Canaan. They're not. They're not in the promised land. God started activating this stuff right away. Okay, which I will give unto you for a possession. I and I put the plague of leprosy in the house of the land of your possession. In other words, before they go in there, whoever these Canaanites is, they're gonna have a plague. And the plague is going to be leprosy. And Jesus is already showing them how to deal with leprosy, because he's telling them, I'm going to put this on there before you get there. Okay, pretty much. Okay, and he that owns the house that shall come and tell the priest, saying, I have seen to me that is as it were a plague in my in the house. In other words, if you see a plague in the house, mold or in this here, Jesus is going to deal with that. Then the priest shall come command that they empty the house. Okay, because understand, back then they was living in tents, so even leprosy could break out in the tent here. See, I didn't think about this, but I was thinking about a common house. But you understand, they before they became to Israel, they lived in tents and they had to move it. So Jesus saying, if it's in the tent, we got to clear out the house before the priest go into go into it to see the plague. All that is in the house be made unclean. So everything in the house. Why? Because leprosy could be spread by touch. Okay, and afterward the priest shall go in to see the house, and he shall look upon the plague, and behold, if the plague be in the walls of the house with a hollow stripes, or greenish or reddish, reddish, which in the sight be lower than the wall, then the priest shall go out of the house of the door of the house, and shut the house up for 7 days. Okay, and the priest shall come again to the house 7 days, and shall look, and behold, if the plague is spread in the walls of the house, then the priest shall command that they take away the stones, and which the plague is, and they shall cast them unto an unclean place without the city. Why? Because we can't risk having that in the city like that. Everything had to be clean. And he shall cause the house to be scraped within round about, and they shall pour out the the dust that they scrape off without the city. Okay, unto the unclean place. The same thing with the bricks. You had to get rid of it. All right. And they shall take other stones and put them into the place of of these stones. So they're gonna replace whatever stones they took out or whatever happened here. And but it's kind of funny because when they first started with it was tents. Now he's talking about when you have like a house like we have now. If you find mold and things in there, okay, you got to repair. And he shall take other mortar, and shall plaster the house. And if the plague come again and break out in the house, after that he have taken away the stones, and after he have scraped the house, okay, and after it is plastered, then the priest shall come in the look, and behold, if the plague be spreaded in the house, it shall be of I hope I'm saying it's fluttering leprosy in the house. It is unclean. And he shall break down the house, and the stones of it, and the timber of thereof, and all the mortar in the house. he shall what carry them forth out of the what city unto an unclean what place. And moreover, he that goes unto the what house all the while after it is what shut up shall be what unclean until the what evening. And he that lies in the what house shall wash his what clothes, and shall wash and he that what eateth in the house shall wash his what clothes. And if the priest shall come in and look upon it, and behold, the plague have not spread in the what wall after the house was what plastered, then the priest shall pronounce the house to be what clean, because the plague is what healed. Okay, and he shall take the unclean he should take the cleansing house to what let me go back. He shall take to the what cleansing the what house to what 2 birds, cedar wood, a scallop, and what hyssop, and he shall kill the one bird uh in a what earthly what vessel overran with what water, and he shall take the what cedar wood and the what hyssop and the what scallop, and shall and the what living bird, and dip them into the what blood of the what slain what blood, and in the what running water, and sprinkle of the what house 7 times. That will go into 7 times. Everything he had them to do, repetition. The men, the women's, everybody was 7 times. Okay. And he shall what cleanse the what house with the what blood of the bird, and with the what running water, and with the what living bird, and with the what cedar wood, and the hyssop, and the what scarlet. But he shall let go the what living bird like he did before out of the city in the what open field, and make an atonement for the what house, and it shall be what clean. This is the law of all manner of plague of leprosy, of scar, and of the leprosy of the what garment, and the what house, and for the rising of the what the scabs, and the brightness spot, to teach when it is what unclean and when it is what clean. These are this is the what law of what leprosy. And so you see how God did this here. Um, this is part of what we consider as the health restoration. This is what God did to ensure that we were safe. And so he had, he was teaching them how to look out for these things. He quarantined. He kept people, separated. And when they got healed, he had a way to reintroduce them in. This is all about keeping you safe and keeping the spread of leprosy outside of uh, uh, for overrunning the whole place. Now think about it. Other peoples who didn't know God was dealing with these plagues. They probably infected a whole lot of people. But God's telling his people. See, this is what the word of God does. It tells you how to do things that the world don't know to keep you safe. So that's my message for the night. Leviticus 13 and 14. Woo, 2 long chapters here. Um, it's been a long day. Forgive me. Some of my reading was not up to par, but I am tired, but I'm glad to get through it so you understand what God is saying. If you like what you hear, you to go to LebanonChurchWaukegan.org. Again, that is LebanonChurchWaukegan.org. Go to our live broadcast tab. Please select the Bible study selection from the drop down menu. Click it. Join a part of our community. You have access to tons of teaching videos so that you can hear the word of God being taught live. You also get a link to go live. May God bless each and every one tonight as we get ready to go live to discuss this subject matter here.